Penn State's not shiny, okay? It's not SEC. I'll tell you that. It's not the SEC. Like, it is not some shiny place. It's like blue collar, people oriented, people driven, and I think that's what people take from State is like, if I always say that, like, if you want to be around the best people, like, you'll go to Penn State because that's what it is.
I'm Maddie.
I'm Azhani.
It girls. Maddie Berezowitz and Azhani Tealer.
I'm lit girl. Podcast with a couple it girls.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm lit girl. Podcast with a couple it girls.
Guys, we have a big announcement. We officially have our first advertisement, which I feel like we've made it, Tealer. So we're pretty excited because this campaign is like no other. It is called Fresh Ball Fall, and so I'll give you guys kind of a little rundown. Well, hey there, all you ladies and possibly gentlemen that are listening. Fresh Ball Fall is right around the corner, and you know what that means? It means cozy sweaters, pumpkin spice, and of course, get your man's fall foliage all groomed up with Manscaped. Manscaped, while nature takes care of the leaves, we're here to make sure your man's region is leaf-free and ready for sweater weather. So, on that note, our code for Manscaped is ITGIRLS20 for 20% off, plus free shipping. Manscaped sent us a little package a few weeks ago, and my boyfriend was super excited to get the package. The marketing is like no other. So, along with your flannels and cozy socks, make sure that the man in your life's prepared for sweater weather. The package comes with a razor and a nose trimmer. The nose trimmer is great. I have used that. And then some other pretty cool marketing pieces. So, on that note, Tealer, anything to add on Manscaped?
Yeah, seems like a great gift for someone with a man in their life. That is not me, but use our code. 20% off and free shipping. Doesn't get much better than that. Manscaped is doing a great job advertising this, and should be great.
Yep, get them ready for fall, man. Fresh ball fall, here we come. So thank you, Manscaped, for sponsoring this podcast, and we're excited to continue the partnership.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the It Girls podcast, where we're telling the stories of winning women. And today, without further ado, we'll get right into it. We have Allie Schlegel of the Chicago Red Stars. What's up, Allie?
What's up, guys? Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Duh, we are so pumped to have you, Allie. A little background. I guess I more than Z, but knew Allie's brother at Kentucky pretty well. He was really good friends with my cousins. He played football at Kentucky. And so when we were always trying to brainstorm who would be a good guest. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think Drew's sister was like a stud at Penn State. So sure enough, she was a stud. She was an All-American, team captain, all Big Ten, won a few championships. So we are pumped to have her on. And she's also like a pretty neat person from what we've gathered so far. So we're going to try to talk less soccer, more all things Allie. So Allie, give us your best elevator pitch so that everyone gets a grasp of who you are.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I practiced this getting my business degree. Like, okay, my major is this. I'm in this,
Totally.
I worked as much on my personal elevator pitch, but I was born and raised in Colorado, which is a very deep part of my being. I think that has really just that ignited my love for the outdoors, and fly fishing specifically is one of my favorite activities, which was heightened at Penn State because we had some classes there. So I took advanced fly fishing and fly fishing at Penn State, if you can believe that, for credit, and it was awesome. And I think also being in Colorado, I think the atmosphere of just the adventure spirit in Colorado has also been a big part of me in life. I like to try new things, like to do new things. And there's really, like I said, there's nothing that I'm not interested in. And so I think Colorado is a big part of that. And then I think my family, I'm one of four with my mom, my dad, and my brother Drew. Luckily, these girls know my brother Drew, but he is quite to explain. And I mean, was my best friend growing up. He still is obviously my best friend. But I think the two of us just, I don't know, we were always just out in the neighborhood and always playing different sports. And like, although yes, I find myself to be a person outside of sports. I think sports was also a huge part of my upbringing and how that bonded us to our neighborhood friends, how that bonded that to my communities throughout all of my years of, elementary school, blah, blah, blah. Like sports has always been that core part. So that's important, I think, to bring up. But other than that, like, I think I'm confident now to tell people that I'm a big nerd, which is just a fact. And I love reading. I love learning. Like, I just love learning, to be honest. In DC, I was just calling my mom. I'm like, I could spend so much time in DC now just going to museums. Being at the age where, like, museums are lit is like, we went to the Spy Museum the other day, and I just had the best time. I had the best time. I am looking to go to the Bible Museum tomorrow, which I'm about. And actually, that's a good little cameo too. I think faith is another part of like just my core being. Obviously, that drives everything for me, and that stems from both just my family and some of my best friends in college. Really had made that a big, deep impact on me, and I think lastly, something that's just so deeply ingrained in me is Penn State. Like, Penn State is me. It's such a deep part of what I love and what I care about and what kind of made me. And I think that theme that comes out of Penn State the most that I reflect on, that has just been true throughout my life, is relationships. Like, I adore my friends and my family and honestly all of the people that I've met, but people and relationships are just core to who I am. And that, I don't know, like, that is me. Like, I feel like a sum of the parts of all of those people that are around me, and have, because I like to learn, it's like, oh, I, got this music taste from this person, and I got this, book recommendation from this person, I got this movie reference from this person, like, all of those things just are a combination of, I think, all the people God has put in my life.
Oh my,
that was good.
That was the best elevator pitch we've ever had, Taylor.
Too long of it.
Maddie said that about every elevator pitch, but I do agree. This one was really good.
That was the best one. And, Allie, I think that, well, one, like, I'm so excited for this episode because when you can tell in the first, like, 30 seconds, like, oh, this is our girl, Right. Immediately started talking. I was like, oh, this is my girl. And I think it's because you, Z, and I all have, like, a zest for life that is really, like, something that you can't, it's God-given, that, like, cup half full mentality, and the way that, I heard a quote, like, when you stop learning, you stop living. And I think about that all the time because learning happens, if you enjoy learning, like, you just see life in such a different way than if you kind of dread it. So, and like you said, you can learn through books or you can learn through people. Like, there's a million ways to look at learning. So I'm excited to learn a lot from you this episode.
Well, okay, speaking of learning, and first off, I've heard amazing things about the Bible Museum, so I'm excited for you to go do that. But talking about the fly fishing, and I was looking it up, and everything that I saw about this fly fishing program at Penn State was like legendary, world-renowned, like infamous fly fishing. I'm like, what the heck? Who's fly fishing at Penn State? And then I go to their Instagram page for PSU fly fishing. It's like so professional. It has like thousands of followers. How did this like become a class you took? How did you get into it?
Okay, yeah, that's actually so hilarious because I try to tell people that, like, Penn State fly lit. The other day we were in the locker room and I was telling people about Penn State fly fishing, and one of my teammates was like, you're giving Penn State like a bad rep. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, Penn State fly fishing is hype. Okay, so rewind to kind of why I got involved in fly fishing is some of my best guy friends in high school are all like fly fishing gurus and whatnot. And so like I kind of got into it through them, and I went a couple of times with them and got the little sister treatment for sure. Like, I had no idea what I was doing, and they're like, you didn't bring a leader? I'm like, what the hell is a leader? Like, what are you even talking about? They're like, you need to, like, go take a car, like, down the road. We're, like, in the middle of the mountains to this fly shop. I'm like, okay, perfect. Like, I don't know anything, but I'm not going to act like I don't know anything. So I was very much a little sister treatment from them, which was good. And then in college, the guy that I dated in college, he was also really into it. So I feel like that was kind of that introduction to actually doing it more and more. But then, like, when we broke up, it was kind of like, I actually enjoy doing this, and I'm going to be able to do it on my own. And I had heard, like, it's so funny, like, central Pennsylvania, for some reason, is, like, a hub for fly fishing. So
Weird.
I know, it's, like, weird. Like, there's actually, like, good water and stuff, like, in around Penn State, like, right by campus, like, some very good waters. And so there's this guy whose name's Joe Humphreys, okay? He's, like, 90-something years old. I met him at a breakfast place once in the middle, at Penn State, because he, like, I'm pretty sure he coached wrestling, but fact check me on that. But he's, like, a legend, okay? So he's a legend, and he started the program at Penn State. And so George, my instructor, from that I took classes with, he was, like, Joe Humphreys' kind of, like, protege. And and I'm dead serious. Like, when I went, so for the break, the NWSL break, me, Drew, and my family went to Wyoming for the week. Of course, I know. And because I wanted to fish, and my guy best friends were like, okay, you should go to Fremont Canyon. This place is the best. And our fly fishing guide knew George, like, who I was talking about, because he's, like, legit. Like, he's the man.
That's crazy.
So that's really it. And so, like, he was the instructor at Penn State. It was the first, like, fly fishing program ever to be created. And yeah, they're just, like, a couple of legends, like, in the fly fishing community, which is so bizarre and random that I just ended up there. But that's the full circle of how we got there.
Okay, wait, rewind even more. For us, I'm not a city folk. Z's a city folk for sure. Like, what is fly fishing? Like, can you just explain it?
Actually, such a good question. Okay, like, you've probably seen it in a movie where, like, it's the fishing where you're, like, moving, like, the big line.
Right. Yeah.
That thing.
Like, that is fly fishing. And so I've looked up, because people ask me, like, oh, what's the difference? And I don't know how to say that coherently. My interpretation of it all is, like, to me, it's just way more involved. Like, instead of, like, if you're fishing, you put, like, live bait on and you toss it out there or whatever. It's just a lot more involved where, like, you're trying to imitate, like, a specific bug.
Oh.
Yeah, and, like, you're laying it on it's just, like, really, like, give you, like, a coherent, I think the main difference is, like, the way that you cast and, like, the presentation of how you're trying to catch the fish. Like, it's more the technique and the approach. So it's really involved. That's the other thing. Like, I like it because it's very zen to me. Like, it's a very zen activity.
That is so cool. Z loves fishing. Z's like, I said she's a city girl, but, like, she, like, we had, like, a rod at school, and sometimes I'd text her at, like, 8 a.m. on a Saturday, and I'm like, wait, bro, where are you? Like, are you, like, getting donuts or something? She's like, nah, I'm fishing.
I
don't know how to fly fish, though. We should hook up and we should learn. You can teach me.
Dude, it's honestly, it's so involved. It's taken me so many years to even get, like, again, it's just something we're always learning, truly. And, yeah.
So cool. So cool. Okay, staying on this topic. So we have actually had a few guests on from Penn State, and every guest we've had from Penn State and people we know from Penn State, our trainer and our volleyball trainer was from Penn State, and, like, she bled navy and white. Like, everyone we know. So first of all, why'd you go to Penn State? Second of all, what is it about Penn State that makes people just absolutely fall in love with the culture of being a PSU alum?
My one of my best friends the other day sent me a TikTok that was, like, the top, like, the 10 colleges that you just, like, think are a cult. And it was like the second one, and behind like A&M.
Right.
Right.
This reigns true. Like,
Yeah.
or you're not, you either get it or you don't. And first question, why I went to Penn State. I think that's kind of like a twofold question because the recruiting process, I was so young, like I really don't even know why I ended up there when I look back, because there are so many reasons why I chose it that by the time I had gotten there were like irrelevant almost.
Right.
But reflecting back, I think one of the biggest impacts I had just through the process were the coaching staff. And they are some of my favorite human beings, best friends, like to this day. Like I adore the coaching staff at Penn State really more than anybody on this planet. Like I love them. And they were such a huge part of that process. But then in terms of like the decision making, I had a dream and committed the next morning at like 9 a.m. My mom was like, yeah, I know. I had a dream. Yeah, God really closed good doors to Penn State. Like, I seriously look back when people ask me this question, I'm just like, I was just meant to be there. I was. And like the stars aligned for it to happen and doors closed for it to happen. And I think just reflecting on that time period, it was because then I went there when I was 15 and didn't go back until I was 18. Like I was 15.
Crazy.
Like, okay, I had a sweatshirt. I didn't really think about it. I was too busy doing high school things. Like I didn't care. And then when I showed up, like I remember really my first 2 years just being like, how did I get here? And everything is such a pleasant surprise. Like, and because I knew what I was getting into, but it's also just so much bigger, so much greater than I could have imagined. And I think Penn State, people love Penn State because of, I think it is just this family atmosphere. Like it is this deeply tradition, family focused atmosphere. I remember Drew came to campus and he was just like shocked at how many people wore Penn State stuff, because he was like everybody wears it, and he's like, this is weird. Like, people care about their college, but I think there's just a lot of deep family roots, because also a lot of people that go to Penn State, it's like my great grandpa, my grandpa, my mom, my dad, everybody went to Penn State, and I think that the sports culture is actually a really big part of that. I would say Penn State football, even through its interesting past and really difficult past and a harsh past, really did ignite the sports culture of Penn State. There are so many renowned programs at Penn State. The volleyball program at Penn State is world class, like wrestling, world class. There are just a lot of programs there that and I think like that's what excites people about a university in a lot of ways. And also like Penn State's a work hard, play hard type of ball. Like, we're not pretentious, or like you're there to have a blast and have fun and go to sports games, and it's big. And I think about Thon too, which is the biggest student run philanthropy in the world. And like I knew so many people involved with that. I actually just got dinner 2 nights ago with the old executive director of Thon, and like these are the people that I was able to meet through Penn State. And it's just the people. I tell that to everybody when I'm like having when we had recruits, I'm like, Penn State's not shiny, okay? It's not SEC. I'll tell you that. It's not the SEC. Like, it is not some shiny place. It's like blue collar, people oriented, people driven, and I think that's what people take from State is like, if I always say that, like if you want to be around the best people, like you'll go to Penn State, because that's what it is.
That is so awesome. That's so cool.
And every other person that we've talked to from Penn State has said that exact thing.
Yeah.
Anna Camden. And to go off of that, so like from the outside.
Oh yeah, Anna's great. You guys talk to Anna. I love her. Yeah, she's great.
So from my perspective, and maybe Maddie too, it seems like all of you guys from all the different sports are all super tight knit. Like I see Will commenting on your posts, and Will knows Anna, and you know Sean Clifford, and Anna knows Sean Clifford, and all these people are so connected. What does Penn State do to make that feel that way in the athletic department?
Yeah, okay. One of my biggest jokes about Penn State is, the academic center.
Yeah.
You guys I'm sure have an academic whatever.
Yep.
I said as a freshman that this was a ploy to get Penn State athletes to marry each other and have you send back to Penn State because that's where you spent all of your time. But I think because Penn State is so big, you're looking for that community within a 40, 50,000 whatever person school, and because you already resonate with athletes, I think it's very normal for athletes to automatically want to be friends with each other, and I think the boring side of this answer is just kind of logistically being around each other, being on the same schedules as each other, understanding each other, right? I think it took me a couple of years to really gain friendships outside of sports because it's just hard. It's just hard. And there's a lot of disconnect there, but I think that Penn State did a good job of allowing avenues for us to get to know each other and for us to support each other. And because, again, of that, the roots of the sports culture, I wanted to go to football games. I wanted to go to wrestling matches. I wanted to go to girls lacrosse games. I wanted to go to volleyball games. That was fun because, you were all so, just connected by a similar passion. And I actually was the student athlete advisory board president for a year, which was a joy. It was a joy. I look back on some of these things and I'm like, how did I even do that? I was so busy in college, and now all I do is read and run. That's it.
And play soccer. You still do play professional soccer.
Oh, but it's so college athletes, guys. There's nothing that compares to being a college athlete. Being a college athlete is truly psychotic. It really is.
It is. And then when you get out, now I'm just working a corporate job, and it doesn't carry the weight that it used to either. People just don't get it.
Thank you. No, I know you guys feel that where you're just what did I do? You look back, you're like, what? I talking about this now. But I think, again, there were just channels, so those things, although sometimes cringy, right? You're do I really want to go to this welcome back barbecue? Kind of lame. Which was always hard. It's always hard to convince 18 to 22-year-olds that this is not lame. This will be fun. I know
totally.
that this has to be a PG experience, but it's fun.
Right.
But I think we tried to be intentional about involving the student athlete community, both with themselves and with the university, because I think it was hard for student athletes to really connect with the university in the bigger picture. But I think honestly things like Thon really helped with that, because that was such a Penn State thing that connected the entire community together, and student athletes were really able to experience the university and the community in that way.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I think that I totally resonate with what you said about you wanted to go to lacrosse games, you wanted to go to volleyball games, you wanted to go to wrestling matches. That's exactly how we felt at Kentucky. Going to watch a women's basketball game was so fun because we knew these girls. These girls were seeing what they're going through on a daily basis. Going to watch men's soccer games, I don't know. There's just sports that I never watched in high school personally. But then I got to college, and I'm these are my people. I'm hanging out with them on Saturday night. I'm going to go try to watch a game if I can.
Yeah.
So we totally get that. So going further now you're not at Penn State. Teardrops on my guitar. So talk us through your decision to play pro. I think that especially, we've seen the growth in women's sports. Honestly, I think soccer is a trailblazer. Women's soccer is definitely trailblazing that path. So maybe talk about, professional women's soccer, your experience, and kind of how you decided to take that path rather than something different.
That's such a great question. And I remember having a conversation with my grandpa, and he's going to hear this because he listens to the stuff that I do. And I remember him, he's always been like, he's just a good like hole poker. Like kind of like, why do you think what you think? Why are you doing what you're doing? And I really resonate with him in that way. But I remember this car ride coming back from Baton Rouge, because they're Louisiana people, and he was like, kind of just like, why would you do this if if the money is not there? Like, you're telling me that you are gonna, go do this when potentially, like, at the time I was really big into like finance and was like, I'm going to Wall Street, which I'm absolutely not doing that. But
I feel that. That's what I do. So I understand. Yeah. Investment banking, literally, Allie. So I'm doing your worst nightmare.
Went through such a phase of that sidetrack. I joined like I'm sure you did you ever do like the club, like whatever, like a club?
Finance club? Yeah.
Right. So we had like the Nittany Lion Fund, which was like the
investment.
They were like an actual like portfolio doing stocks, yada yada.
Yep.
There was another one that was like only fixed income investing. So it was like a paper portfolio, but whatever. It was all about like leverage debt, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I was the dumbest person there, but it was the best thing I ever did academically. No, it was seriously. Yeah. But I would never have investment banking in my life. I would have done S&T just so I could talk. But you're in S&T.
So I did sales and trading, and then sales and trading, agreed. It's like, sorry, it's great for people like us that are very outgoing, but I just felt like career path wise, like where I want to be in 20 years was I had to do investment banking. So I swallowed the bullet and just did it. So that's where I'm at.
Respect the hell. I could not. But
anyway, sorry.
I really am so glad that we just had that little sidetrack. But basically, I think his point was like, why are you doing that? Like, it doesn't make sense if you're not kind of going to get like this, I think, financial outcome that might be better. But I remember being like, whatever. I think maybe I was still a teenager, maybe I was 20, but just being like a pissy about that, being like, oh, so my dreams like aren't as important as somebody going to the NFL. Like, if Drew had the potential to go to the NFL, like, would you ever ask him this question? And maybe he would have, because he's a question guy. But I think it just made me like feel very powerful about saying that. Like, no, my dream is important, and like I again believe that God has given me this specific talent to do. Like, I felt very called into it, to be completely honest. I don't know, I mean, I'm sure you guys know about Drew's fiance passing away, and that obviously like was a really big life experience to have like at our age, and that was just such a moment that just rocks your world. Obviously, makes you slow down, makes you think intentionally about all of the things that you are doing. And I think that so right after Molly passed away, I had just gotten invited to like a U23 national team camp, and I was like I can't even function. But I'm like, we're going. And the night before, I had a friend call me and tell me that Katie Meyer had just passed away, and she was, somebody that I had grown up in like the youth national team system with, and had been friends with. Like, it was just a lot. It was just a big day. Like, right, like there were just a lot of deaths, a lot of just like, wow, this is a lot. And I just felt like at camp that God gave me a lot of clarity in that moment to, I just like was kind of wrecked by a lot of conviction of like slowing down, and I don't know, just being able, like having the power to focus on this one thing. And I think it was interesting that camp kind of gave me a taste of what it would be like to be a professional athlete. Like, because we were in spring break, so I didn't have homework. I was really just focused on my like playing and my teammates and that cadence of life. And so that experience in its entirety, mixed along with kind of my passion to, you know, as we all are, to make female, like, that we know how sick female athletics are, right? Like, we know, and we need everybody to know. And
I mean,
so,
look at the Nebraska game, the volleyball game that just happened. That's
like, I know that typical, like, give the platform, you get him, you put, you get what you know, we could go on a whole tangent on that, but like, I think those two in combination, and then it was really difficult because I was thinking about staying for a 6th year at Penn State. I was supposed to do a grad degree, but again, God wrecked that plan, of course. I was like, I don't want to do this at all, actually. I had to, like, get out of, oh my God. I love my Penn Staters. They helped me, you know, do, like, academically navigate, like, this deep conviction I had not to do this graduate program that, like, they so graciously already let me get into. And I was like, wait, I changed my mind. And so then after season, I kind of had to, like, decide, because there were so many parts, obviously, of that. And I went to Spring Creek where we fly fish, and I laid on a tree, and I decided to go on the draft. So that's really, again, it's like an intentional process that then ends with something deep and dramatic. That is how I make my decisions and how I really operate. So that's
amazing. That's amazing. And I know I said this maybe on one of the other episodes, but I just always feel like when we're in the midst of tough decisions, whenever you have peace around a decision, it's usually where God wants you to be.
You just know.
You just know. Yeah.
And so now you play for the Chicago Red Stars. You were drafted 23rd overall. And I was looking at your Instagram post when you were going through that, and you're just like, this couldn't have lined up better. You're playing with your friend Penelope Hawking, and now you're playing with, like, Mallory Swanson, and you're playing against all of the best to ever play the game. What is that like? And what was your, like, welcome to the league moment where you're like, oh, I'm playing with the big girls now?
That's a great question. I think I'm somebody who, growing up, I think I was just kind of having this conversation with a teammate on the plane the other day. Like, I think I'm just inherently a little bit like, I got it going on, and I'm not scared. Like, and like, you know, I'm not gonna worry about it because I can do it. And I say that too in congruence with, like, I'm shaking in my boots. Like, how do you actually approach being a professional soccer player? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, these are the best in the world. Can I really do it? Like, yeah, I mean, there's just that perfect both and of, like, you know, yes, I was confident in my abilities that I could do it. But at the same time, I was like, you got a lot to learn. And kind of how I think I wanted to approach it, because I didn't want to, you know, not believe in myself and not think that I could do it, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to be the arrogant rookie that's like, oh, like, this is a walk in the park.
Right.
You know, like, that, I don't think that is ever an appropriate approach. And so I think I really wanted to approach it with that sponge attitude. Like, let me just soak in, because of what you just said. Like, I'm around players that have played for 10 years, have been in the league for however many years, have played in World Cups, have played in Olympics. Like, you don't just get to be around that every day. And I think my, you know, the approach to all of it was just like, what can I learn? How can I sit and listen to these people and watch them, you know, analyze them? How do they approach the game? Because I think it's not a one size fits all in professional athletics. You really have to figure out what works for you. And I think that was kind of like how I approached it. And so then I think, like, it's been so challenging, of course. Like, it is a jump. That's the whole point. Like, it is a jump. Again, like, I remain confident that I can do it and will do it and will, you know, but there's been a million hurdles, a million hard days, a million lessons to be learned throughout the whole process. And I think, like, when was my welcome to the league moment? I like that question. I don't have like, I think the first game that I got to play in was a welcome to the league moment, because I think that it was at OL Reign and we were playing against Seattle. It was like the first time that I got to play, and I felt that balance of like, I can do this. I can do this. This is hard, but I can do this. And like I felt like I played well. But at the same time, like the game itself, like we had lost 5-2. You realize like who you're playing with and against. Like I think I don't know, like somebody had fouled somebody and then I had to like get back for the free kick. Like Megan Rapinoe like hitting this free kick, and you know, in my head I'm like, you know, I'm not gonna be a fangirl. Like I'm not gonna like, yeah. I think I was trying to be like, no, like I belong here. I'm playing against girls, like, but at the same time, that kid in me is like, this is kind of cool,
Yeah.
a little bit. So I think this whole time of being in the league has been this like constant dichotomy of, yes, I can do this, and I want to do this. I want to be this, and also just being so unbelievably humbled by the fact of what it is. Like, so unbelievably humbled by the level of play, by the level of the players, by the intensity, by the physicality. Like, I am not even remotely unscathed from this process because of, and I think that's been like the greatest lesson through it all. Like, there's just, it's been incredible because it has just, you know, as we go back to our main theme, like there's just been so much learning and so much growth, and I so deeply appreciate the league, the players, the approach to it, the intensity of it, where it's been. I so deeply appreciate where the league has been. Like I have talked to so many of my older teammates and like can't even fathom like what they have been through and like how they've progress this league in the way that they have. And so, yeah, I just feel a lot of gratitude towards the players who have been the trailblazers. And I think I want so badly to follow in their path and to continue to push it on and to carry the fire. But I think for that to be a future role or possibility of mine, like I had to experience this, like, year and continue to experience this year. You know, there's no time limit on it, but I think the humility piece of it is like number one, really.
So cool. So cool. So Allie, my question for you now is, you know, I think it'd be cool for our audience to hear like what a day looks like for you. You know, like the show Quarterback right now that everyone's loving with like Patrick Mahomes, and where it like really takes us like through what his day looks like as a pro football player. So like what does a day look like for you? And I know that's like different when you're traveling or whatnot, but I think it would be cool for me to hear too. I'm actually really curious.
Oh, okay. I'll give you a day in the life. It depends. I feel like I'll give you a day in the life when I'm being social and the day in the life when I am not. Again, like Chicago being such a great city, I've really been blessed with having so many visitors. I love all my friends when they come through.
It's so easy to get to Chicago too. That's the thing. Like,
oh, it's so great. I just love it. But I would say that I wake up usually around like 7:30 to 8:30 is like my wake up rate, because we don't train until 1, which I think is pretty inconsistent like over the league. But that's just our training time with our stadium availability, and the Chicago Fire also train. So I've gotten adjusted to it. I kind of like it because I like a slow morning. So wake up, and I don't like to look at my phone. I really don't. I don't like to look at my phone for like as long as I possibly can, which is usually around like 30 minutes to an hour, because I will read. That's usually the first thing I do is read. We have a Bible study on the team, so I like have been doing that honestly pretty consistently, but I'm usually doing something faith-based. I am finding my center of gravity right when I wake up. And then after that, is like my phone things time, because then I'm like, all right, I gotta like fill out my wellness, like respond, do all of the things that we have to do on a daily basis of, texting friends and catching up, blah, blah, blah. And then, like I said, I just love the slow morning, just make breakfast. I just like meander. It's just slow. I love it. Brush my teeth, do all the things. And then usually I'm out the door around 10 or 10:30, because I like to go to the stadium to do like treatment, rehab, like all of those things. So I usually like to go at like 10 or 10:30 and do any exercises, like just kind of like activate my body, get treatment, all that good stuff. And then we have a meeting. And then after the meeting, we train. And then usually I like to lift after practice. So if we have a lift, I'm lifting after practice. And then, my job is to take care of my body. So then it's like recovery time, right? Ice bath. I'm a big ice bather. Wouldn't say that I do it every day. It kind of depends. But any sort of recovery, I eat at the stadium. And then we'll drive home. And that's like the best time. It's such a weird time. Like 4 to 6 p.m. in a day is such a weird experience. But honestly, people will ask me, because I think you kind of do have a little bit of free time, like as a professional athlete. And people are like, what do you do? I call my friends. That's what I do. I call my friends. That's all I want to do. I spend a lot of time like my best friends. I'm always calling one of them. Like Sam Coffey's one of my best friends. Caitlin, I'm always calling them, talking about our days. Because, like, I want to still be involved in that. Calling my mom. Whoever it is on a given day, I am calling somebody. That is what I do. But at the same time, and then dinner, whatever that is, I hate cooking. I am on the search for a chef husband. Let it be known. If you want to cook for me,
we can be married. Literally same.
Let me know. I don't like cooking, but I do it because I know I have to. And sometimes my roommate, Penelope, my dearest roommate, she will cook for me at times, which I'm very grateful for. And then usually that's when, but I also, because Chicago is such a great city, I love going out to eat with a slow meal with a friend. That is a dream. I love doing that. I think like I said, there's a billion different things to do in Chicago. So, like, if it's a social week, I will do one of those bajillion things that you could ever do. Lake, river, restaurant, Cubs game, the whole lot. I love experiencing the city. But if I'm not in that mood, I think I usually am, like, in my room, like, usually just doing recovery things, maybe watching film, reading, or, yeah, like I said, it's either chill or social. There's no in between. But every day I'm calling people. So, yeah, I love that this is my answer, because it used to be like meeting, class, meeting, freaking backflip, meeting. Like, I really enjoy the cadence of this life. I think it'll to. And
Well, hey there, all you ladies and possibly gentlemen that are listening. Fresh ball fall is right around the corner. And you know what that means? It means cozy sweaters, pumpkin spice, and of course, get your man's fall foliage all groomed up with Manscaped. Manscaped, while nature takes care of the leaves, we're here to make sure your man's region is leaf-free and ready for sweater weather. So on that note, our code for Manscaped is ItGirls20 for 20% off plus free shipping. Manscaped sent us a little package a few weeks ago, and my boyfriend was super excited to get the package. The marketing is like no other. So along with your flannels and cozy socks, make sure that the man in your life's prepared for sweater weather. The package comes with a razor and a nose trimmer. The nose trimmer is great. I have used that. And then some other pretty cool marketing pieces. So on that note, Tealer, anything to add on Manscaped?
Yeah, seems like a great gift for someone with a man in their life. That is not me, but use our code. 20% off and free shipping. Doesn't get much better than that. Manscaped is doing a great job advertising this and should be great.
Yep, get them ready for fall, man. Fresh ball fall, here we come. So thank you, Manscaped, for sponsoring this podcast, and we're excited to continue the partnership. That is so awesome. We, when you said meander, like Z and I have talked about this, and we listened to it on a sermon once, but it was Christine Kane, if you know, you probably know who that is. And she was talking about lingering, just like linger, slowing down to linger, whatever you were in. And in her case, she was talking about like lingering with God, but just like lingering in the mornings rather than feeling like I gotta do this. That's how kind of I am. And like, I'm trying to just like, be grounded and take a deep breath. So that's awesome.
The elimination of hurry, that book I read earlier, but like the process of undoing hurry and busy, I'm still in it. It's so difficult. Like, I'm with you. I think my routine is important to me because I feel like that allows me to be in that lingering space, in that being able to appreciate more of those pockets of peace throughout a day, right? I think we're so like next, but you don't realize that like 5 second, that 5 minute, that 10 minute, those lingering times. But again, that is respectfully, if I were in investment banking, I would be psychotic. Like, I just would be. I don't even know how. I don't know. I hope, I wish and pray for your. I'm like, it's so hard. It's so hard.
It is. That's why, like, I was in New York, and you're not an East Coast girly, but like you know the East Coast lifestyle, and it just like wasn't for me. I was like, I need to be back by my people, so I'm actually doing investment banking in Milwaukee, which is it's a great. I'm still getting the experience, but I'm not feeling like the pressure to run the rat race. Where that's the feel. That's how I felt personally when I was in New York. So, it's tough.
Not everybody likes for that either.
I know. It's crazy.
Well, so you were talking about long, slow meals, and Maddie, I guess she was curious about what that meant to you whenever we were talking beforehand. So, like, talk about what a long, slow, like, ideal meal looks like for you.
Okay, this is such a new thing, honestly, because here's what happened. I got to Chicago, and everybody's yelling at me, telling me it's the best city ever. And I'm like, all right. And with that came, like, here's 8 million different places you need to try, food-wise. And I'm like, okay, got my list. But when I got to Chicago, again, we know I'm no city girl, and I'm like, what do you people do? What do you guys do? Because I'm so used to, like, being outdoorsy, and granted, this was also when I got there. It was in, January, so it's pretty cold, but I'm just like, what do you guys do for fun, basically? And what I realized is, once you just surrender to spending money, it's great. Everything's great. It's a blast. You have so much fun.
The best quote we've ever had, Tealer, right there.
It's wonderful.
Surrender to spending money. I kind of live by that. I have no problem spending money, and I feel like I have a great life because of it.
She's not lying. She is not lying.
I'm also not lying. I try to balance and learn from my peers on how to balance that, but like, how am I supposed to have fun then if I'm not spending like $70 on this meal? Because that's great to me.
It's not ever like not worth it, in my opinion. Maybe a couple times, but like 90% of the time, it's gonna be worth it.
And same, and because I think I maybe one of these days will indulge in like cooking a long slow meal, but I just no. So I like what has made me love Chicago so much is that food culture, and I think I've really enjoyed going. It's the appetizer, it's the drink, then it's the main course, and then I'm a dessert gal. Like, we're having a dessert, and we're like, it's the whole ordeal. And I honestly think it is very biblical to enjoy meals with other people and to just have that pace of let's enjoy this food. Like, let this food like be of nourishment to me. Let this time with whoever I'm spending with, even if it's with myself. I'm a full fan of going out to eat alone. I'm here for it. I will do it all the time. But again, it's just because I think, you're just like, slow down, stop rushing, da-da-da, and you're like, how? It feels like a very tangible way to be present, to enjoy, to slow down, to, you're not going to like text while you're at a meal with your friend the whole time. You might have to, do some things, but like, it's just a very intentional and practical way, I think, to bring faith to the table, to bring relationship to the table. You learn so much through people. I think all of life, we do the same things every single day, but when you approach them like with a sense of intentionality, like they become so much more, there's just so much more depth to them, And right there, I'm also very, I don't know the word, but like I also eat fast and go and sit in my room also. Like, it's not without, like, I don't want to be around people. I'm eating this quickly. I'm bored, whatever. But I do, when I choose to like have that long, slow meal, I just like love it now. It's so fun. It's like great to catch up. I feel very adult when I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Totally. Allie, Z was visiting me in Milwaukee like in July, and I always tell Z, like, I miss her pocketbook because she and I, like, we became foodies in college. Like, we tried every restaurant in Lexington, I feel like. Like, we just would go on dates all the time. And now we're at the point where, like, we are adults. And so she came to Wisconsin, and I'm, like, texting everybody, to my bestie. She's in town. Like, where should I take her? And a couple people recommended this Indian place. And I, like, don't know Indian food. Z loves Indian food, and she, like, knows the menu well. So I was like, okay, I texted her. I was like, do you want to go to, like, what I've heard is a really good place, but it's probably pretty pricey? Or do you want to go to, like, a good place, but, like, a little cheaper? She's like, what do you think? And I was like, all right, yeah. So what do you think? Spend money. So we go, and we're, like, looking at the menu, and I'm looking at her. I'm like, I don't know what any of this means. And she's like, Brez, it all kind of sounds good. We get to the last page, and it's a chef's tasting. Yeah. So it was $75. We had like 6-course meal. It was like a 2.5-hour dinner. It was just like it was like a core memory from the summer. It was awesome.
Core memory. I'm glad you enjoyed that time like that.
It was great, Z. I loved it.
That's so awesome. See, the other part of this, like a new thing, like, I'm a baby when it comes to food. And it's very off-brand. I don't want to say that. I don't want to tell you that I want to eat chicken fingers or whatever. So I'm trying to broaden my horizons through this.
Wow, that just changed my views about you a little bit.
It should. And I want to be authentic in that because
I love it. Okay.
Tealer.
What?
Tealer, I need to ask a question. It feels like a perfect lead-in, okay?
Okay.
So, we know Drew, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've known Drew, so he's what, 2 years older? 3 years older than me? Yeah. 2 years older than you, so 3 years older than me. So he was a senior when I was a freshman. And this dude, like, had more friends on campus than anyone I have ever met. Z, would you agree with that?
You always ask me about Drew, and I probably have had one conversation with him. I know Drew, and he knows me, but I don't know him as well. But he does have a lot of friends, from what I know.
Oh, so many friends. So I, like, need to hear... First of all, you need to give, like, your perception of Drew. Like, you know him in such a different light. And two, like, I want to hear about your all's relationship. Just as brother and sister, as besties. Like, how do you guys feed off one another?
There's such a... Okay, pause also, because I'm going to have to leave in, like, 10 minutes, if that's okay. Yeah, okay. There's something about a brother-sister relationship. There's so much unspoken understanding in a brother-sister relationship. And I think that is really what we have, because we're very similar. But also, like, we kind of have opposite... we don't have opposite personalities. I think we just have opposite, like... I don't know. I'm emotional. He's not. That's what I would say. Like, I'm very emotional and Drew's very not. We're both very, like, I would say, charismatic, love to do things, like, friends with anybody and everybody. But whereas, like, he kind of takes that, like, boy approach to things, like, I'm very, like, deep and philosophical. Like, I remember we were hanging out with our grandparents one day in New Orleans, and he was like, you just think too much. You think too much. Yeah, like, stop thinking. So I feel like I have that, like, thinking up in the clouds, like, personality, whereas he is like, this is what it is. And that's that. And so I think that, like, it's kind of honestly why we get along so well, because we do all the same things. Like, I wanted to be like him growing up. I wanted to do everything he was doing. If I could have played football, I would have. I would play football in a heartbeat over soccer. Maybe not now. I love soccer a little bit more now, but I wanted to do everything that he did, and he was kind of my best friend in that way. But, like, you know, it's kind of like that when we leave, it's like, okay, I love you, bye. You know, like your typical brother sister. Like, we've been through so much together, but we've always gotten along because we didn't play the same sport. We went to different high schools. It's just easier for us. It's just, like, easy for us to be friends. And, you know, your siblings, like, automatically, like, your compadre, like, anytime you, like, beef with your parents or anything like that, you know, it's just like, well, at least I have Drew. Like, he gets it. And he was so much better at dealing with, like, anything. He's just kind of like, oh, whatever. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, Mom, Dad, like, or what, you know, it's just such a baby. I am the baby. And our family dynamic is just the best, honestly. It's so funny. But Drew, to me, is like, I still see him as, like, a very charismatic, but he really didn't come out of his shell until college. Like, he was pretty shy, like, not shy growing up. He just, like, didn't really care to do that. I don't know, like, indulge in social.
Yeah, I wouldn't characterize him as shy now.
Right. But
in any sense of the world.
But growing up, I feel like he was a lot more mellow, to be honest. Like, he just did what he did. And that was that, you know, like, he didn't really think much about it. Like, he's had, like, the same, like, best friends. Like, his best friend was, like, who we grew up with on the street. Just loves sports. Very simple, like, guy, you know? But I see him as this grand storyteller. Like, Drew is a grand storyteller. And whenever we come back from breaks or whatever, you're just always like, there's no way what you're saying is true. There's no way. There's genuinely no way that what is coming out of your mouth is fact. And then he has pictures, he has videos, he has people to prove him right. And we're like, what? Like, and I see him as a grand storyteller, and I see him as, like, you know, you're going to have to, like, blurb this out for me, but Drew does not give a fuck. Period. He doesn't. That more in this world is, like, Drew is Drew. Like, period. Story. I've never seen anything like it. You know, in the way, oh, I'm confident, but, like, I kind of still care about what you think about me.
Yeah.
No. Drew does not care. And I love that about him.
That is literally my brother to a T.
Yeah. Like,
he is unapologetically himself, like, doesn't care. Yeah.
It's so just inspiring, honestly. Like, it's so inspiring. And then I also see him as, like, just a true, like, man of his word. Like, he says he's going to ride bulls, and he's going to go do it. And he does it. Like, he is going to do what he says he's going to do. And I think, honestly, like, I think he gets that. I see that a lot from, like, my mom. My mom is very much so the same way. Like, she's going to do something and tell you she's going to do, like, it's getting done. There's, like, no way. Whereas, like, me and my dad, I think, are a little bit more, like, we're always thinking, like, what's the thought process? Like, we're kind of thinkers and dreamers, whereas, like, my brother and my mom are, like, they're going to do, like, they're doers. It's done. You can trust them. It's going to get done. hardworking. Like, Drew's the hardest worker I've ever known. Like, he's naturally, I think I was like I'm going to skip by on talent because I can. And Drew naturally always was just like a hard worker. Like, he's just a hard worker. You don't have to tell him to be. You don't have to inspire him to be. Like, he's just a hard worker. So, as much as he's, like, kind of that chippy attitude, he's a beast. He really is.
He really is. I think, like, when I was younger and knew him, he, like, to give you, like, the audience some stories, like, he would visit, like, small colleges, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, am I making this up? Okay, so he'd, like, visit, like, small colleges. He was trying to see, like, as many arenas as he could see. And I remember him telling stories of him, like, kid you not, sneaking into facilities. And, like, he'd be, like, standing on the field. And we're like, bro, how did you do that? And he'd be like, I just kind of figured it out. And it's like...
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. He's like, I just talked to this person or that person, and, like, they just let me in. Like, that doesn't, like, happen. But, yeah, now he's riding bulls. Where is he now?
He's current because his football team, the company allowed for him to take 3 months of remote work so that he could do it. So he's living in Denver, which is just incredible. I was just texting him about it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. 2 more questions for you. This next one's kind of like rapid fire, but you are really into music. You're a professional athlete. Naturally, everyone wants to know what 3 artists, if you can only listen to 3 artists for pregame hype up, who are you choosing as your 3?
Okay, sorry, Penelope just walked in. My 3 hype artists?
Pregame, okay. whatever you listen to pregame.
Okay. Because I think maturity is listening to slow music before games. On my mood. It depends on my mood. I've just been listening to Zach Bryan. Like, I would listen to Zach Bryan before a game. Why not?
Yeah, he's
Revival? Good. Fire me up.
That can get you going.
Yeah, I'm a Kanye girl through and through. I am a Kanye girl. I don't know if that is controversial. It probably is, but music-wise, like, I've always loved Kanye's music. I think, like, Kanye, Kendrick, J. Cole are, like, my, whatever, trinity of rap, if you will.
You're speaking my language right now.
Yeah.
Like, she's your girl, Z. That's Z, T-O-T.
Yeah, I not so much Zach Bryan. Like, I hear he's really good. I can't sing a song, but I can definitely jive with the slow music for free.
Yeah. Listen to everything. Like, I will listen to classical music if I need to, or I'll listen to gospel music because games. So that's tough. It depends on my mood, but I'm anything but like classic rock, heavy metal. I do not mess with that. I do not mess with the whole like Metallica vibes.
Yeah, that's a good take.
Musical, like, that's the only thing I actually like don't. It's not that I don't appreciate it. It's just like that doesn't resonate. But I'm like, I listen to country, jazz, R&B, pop. I love pop. Like, One Direction, that's my jam. Like, anything. I really will. So
that's awesome. That's a good question, Z. Finish us off, Tealer. The best question of all.
Ali, one question we ask every single one of our guests. What is your best piece of advice you have for all of the winning women listening right now?
I feel like I should have, like, this quintessential answer for this question. Because it's, like, especially, because, you want to give good advice to, like, even younger female athletes or other women in general. But I feel like it's different every time for me. I would say, I don't know, I'm trying to think of, like, what's on my heart. What's on my heart as of right now has been this idea of process and outcome orientation. I think it is so easy for athletes and just women who are just like powerful women to be so outcome oriented. It's honestly a very human thing. And I would say that to me has been like the most what makes me the most discontent. But at the same time, like, I'm a competitor, and being results-oriented is important. But I think the difference between results oriented and results driven is very different. So I would tell anybody to be results oriented but process driven. I think being driven by the process, by being present, it kind of reminds me of the verse that, like, seek first the kingdom of God and, like, all the rest will come abundantly. There's actually a translation that says, like, and all these less important things will come abundantly. I think that is so true. Like, throughout this year, I think it's been very easy for me to, like, focus on these outcomes, all these outcomes, but miss so much along the way. And I think this is a very common thing that we hear. Oh, enjoy the journey, love the journey. And I don't know if we always conceptualize that in reality, because of how much society and the world and ourselves place importance on these outcomes. But I think when at the end of the day, although, like, we're driven by success, we're mostly driven by contentment. And I think to be content and to be at peace and to be, like, in that fulfillment, state is being driven by the process. So
Wait, say it one more time. It was results
oriented,
okay.
Process driven.
I love it. I'm writing it down.
Love it.
Oh,
Allie, thank you so much. That was awesome.
This is amazing. Allie, literally anytime we're in the same city, any of us, you, me, you, Z, like, we're grabbing dinner. We have to. A long, slow meal.
A long, slow meal is on the for us.
And you're not allowed to order chicken fingers. I actually refuse. So
I wouldn't. I'm trying to uphold. I'm upholding this new persona that I'm creating. So
I love it. Allie, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week and enjoy DC and enjoy the Bible Museum. That'll be dope.
Yes, of course. Thank you guys.
bye,
See you later. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.